Hey everybody, welcome to Freedom Empowered episode 4. We are your hosts, Nick, and my co-host, Mason. I think we got a great episode for you guys today. Remember, after the episode, to please go subscribe on iTunes and share the podcast with a friend or tell them to listen on Google Play. Mason will explain what...
Yeah, guys. One of the things I was talking about with my assistant earlier,
I'm not
Nick.
your assistant. You're my assistant.
All right, we'll agree to disagree. But so basically, in our past episodes, we've talked about people that are. It's all about freedom. We're talking about people that are successful, and one of the things that kind of is in common with everyone has been that they're rich. And what I don't want to happen is I don't want all of you to think that being rich is the only path to success, because it's not. I would say that being rich is important, but it's not the only thing. You can, as I think I probably mentioned it in a previous episode, but my definition of freedom is having the ability to do what you want when you want and have no one tell you otherwise. So, if your dream is to just be a world traveler, your dream is just to have a awesome cabin in the woods and just be one with nature. That's also
I think
fair.
it's fair to say that you don't need to be rich, but I think it's fair to say that you can't be poor and have all the freedom you want and be doing what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like I feel like money has a pretty big role in being able to do what you want, because you may have the dreams, but you may not have the means to do your dreams. If your dream is to travel, you may not have the money to travel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you might be right, but earlier today I was at this animal shelter just looking around, and the guy who runs it, obviously he's not making money. It's probably nonprofit, but he's playing with these beautiful dogs and cats all day, every day. Like, he is happy. He's doing what he loves, and he makes no money from it. And I would like to say, I would think that he is probably happier than a lot of people out there in the world. You know what I mean? That even people that have a lot of money, he is happier. He's lived every day. He wakes up and loves life. So I would say that maybe money doesn't have that big of an impact.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. But in order for him to run that, the dogs come in free, I assume. Was it like a pound or? Explain the type of place.
Yeah, it's like an animal shelter. It's where, animals go when they're not loved anymore for whatever crazy reason that might be. And then someone adopts them from this place.
Yeah, I see your point that.
But you're right. But I see your point, because if you were rich, you could, own 1,000 dogs, or you could open your own shelter. So I will agree that money does make you achieving whatever your goal is in life a lot easier. So but I do want to say that if your dream just has nothing at all to do with money, don't think that you need to have money to do it, because your dream could require no money is at the same time. I'm not saying that money isn't vital to a lot of people's dreams, and it doesn't make life way easier, but I'm saying that if your dream just happens to not have anything to do with money, don't worry about having a lot of money.
Yeah, I get that. I see what you mean. Well, like a thing that I've realized is that a lot of people have confused like comfort with like being successful. So for example, like people get comfortable and they don't chase after their dreams or for the freedom, because they get used to the fact that, all right, I'm living paycheck to paycheck with just a little extra money to spare, but they don't actually get to follow their dreams that they once had.
I would say that freedom and comfort can sometimes be polar opposites. Because you might be very comfortable, have a nice house, be eating nice foods, be, making a lot of money, but not have, by my definition, the freedom to do what you want when you want. You know what I mean? And on the other side, you can have none of that stuff, but you literally are free. You go where you want, you travel, you basically live every day exactly how you want to live it, but you're not very comfortable in the ways of like superficial comforts, such as, having a nice house or something like that. So I'd say but that is true. I would say that it is something that a lot of people have confused because people will judge others by, hey, look, this is how much money they have. This is how big their house is. They must be crushing life. But in reality, some of them might just not be free at all. Like for instance, people who work on Wall Street. How many people look up to their mansions and look up to, the kind of lifestyle they live, but at the same time, they're working 20 hours a day, grinding, just crunching numbers, which we all hate math. So that can't be very much fun just to have, a couple $1,000,000 or whatnot. But what does the couple $1,000,000 do for you if you work 20 hours a day? It's interesting.
Yeah, I get that. So like they are too busy working their life away, and they don't get to actually chase their personal dreams. And on the
Right.
other side, they don't have enough money to chase those dreams. They don't.
And yeah, and I think it's interesting because people end up in that position because I think they don't realize that they're headed there. So, for instance, I think that our ideas of what, like our personal idea of what is success, what is a successful person, I think it changes as you go through life. So I say that if there's like a couple different phases of life, let's say high school is one phase, and then college is phase two, and then your first job and career is phase three, and then after that you move on to your whatever your permanent career is going to be, and then into retirement, that's phase four. I think that at each one of those levels, your idea of what a successful person is different. You know what I mean? Because so everyone just take a second to think about yourself back in high school, whatever you were, if you were a football star or you were just really loving science class, whatever it is, what was your idea of success? And I would think that it probably is way different from what you think about now. In high school, you might look at someone who parties all the time, who maybe he's on a sport team, maybe not, or just someone who maybe doesn't follow the rules, doesn't study in school, just kind of lives a life of quote unquote freedom because they're free because they're not stuck in the structure
They're doing
of
what
high
they
school.
want to do.
What they want when they're doing what they want when they want. That's my definition of freedom. They're doing what they want when they want, but which is awesome. But then you move on to phase two, whether it be college or whether you move straight into the workforce, and it kind of flips on itself because now they're the ones who are working either a manual job or just a job that whatever job they can afford to work because they didn't like invest in themselves to make a better future. And now, what's your idea of success? So when you're in college, what's your idea of a successful person?
Well,
And now you
I
have
would say a lot of people in college think success is like finding that 9 to 5 job in their major and just working that job that they majored in. But even then, they may be successful on paper, but are they living free?
right. I think it's interesting because basically what we've just said is that you need to prepare for your future. You need to invest in yourself and think to the future if you want to be successful. You have to think out of phase one and think all the way to phase three or four. But I do need to correct myself here and say that that doesn't mean that you're just trying to live a life of safety or security, because I think that if you're planning for retirement, maybe you're living a little bit of fear, because if you just sit there and work a job has a secure job, maybe you have a pension or something, or maybe you're just investing in a 401k. That's not the way to live. It's not, you can't just live a life you don't want to live with the hopes that one day you'll be able to afford the life you've always wanted. you do have to live the life that you want while you're young.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like when it comes to this whole life and freedom thing, it's sort of like a video game where almost like freedom being the ultimate prize in the game, like level 100 is freedom, and at each new level people get knocked out by comfort disguised as freedom, and like the and it sort of holds you back. Like you never pass level
Right.
56 because you've gotten
Right.
comfortable.
Because
You're okay with what you have in the
Right.
game.
Because yeah, you know what I mean. Like maybe you're in, let's say you're in phase three, so you're having a job that is your first job out of college or whatever, and everyone's like, hey, like let's relax, let's just work, but then spend all our money on comforts or whatnot, and then you're out of the game. You maybe your dream probably isn't like if you're 25 years old and you work a job and people are saying, hey, let's spend our money, let's go to the bar, let's go on vacations all the time. Like that's comfortable, that's like awesome, that's a lot of fun, but I love vacationing too. I love having fun as well, but that's not anyone's dream probably. There's probably not too many dream who it is like I want to go to the bar. Like that's not your goal in life. So if you take those instant gratification moments and then you prevent yourself from being able to be successful on the next level, then I think that you're just kind of setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, and I feel like part of it is just you're getting held back by society standards almost.
Right.
So like basically what the world tells you what you should do and what you want to do to be successful is basically what's holding people back from chasing their dreams. Like,
I think I
go ahead.
I mean, I think you're definitely right because what is something that society tells us is necessary? Now, it's going to college. I think that what people will tell you is that you have to go to college if you want to have a chance. And then I would argue that why do you need to spend 4 years at a school where you're spending, arguably up to $100,000 investing in this diploma when 90% of the classes you're going to take aren't geared towards where you want to end up. They're not, you know what I mean? Like if your goal is to own your own business, but you're spending $100,000 to take classes on math, science, and philosophy or whatever else they teach you at these colleges these days. I have no idea what it is, but what you know what I mean? Like, why are you focusing on all these different areas of education when your only goal is to be a businessman? So if your goal is to be a businessman, why aren't you just joining a think tank of people that are also interested in being an entrepreneur where you can just trade ideas and start to move forward that way?
Like I don't think you're trying to bash college or like formal education, trying to like put it down, but like you said, most of what you learn in college isn't what's going to be towards your major. So it's like, why not find a way to do what you want to do, something you enjoy, without college education? Or like you brought up business, for example. Like, I read an article where basically people who don't have a bachelor's degree and start a small business, that's 56% of businesses, small businesses, entrepreneurs. 56% of them do not have a 4-year degree. That's a lot when only 20% are 4-year degrees and 18% are postgraduate degrees. So that makes up a large portion of people who decided to chase their dream, their small business dream, or they want it to become a big business one day,
Right. Because, like for instance, if you want to be a doctor or something, you're gonna have to go to med school. But if you're no, there's if you're gonna create your own business, there's no one checking your credentials for that. You can have no credentials and still be successful. like let's say you want to start an online business. I know that there's a lot of with the creation of the internet, you can now go on there, and the internet has all the information, right? So if you can pretty much find basically the information for anything you want to do online. I know there's a lot of different courses that you could take for business. I know there's this one guy that I was researching, Jason Stapleton, and he, for a pretty cheap price, you can take a class where he just teaches you how to make a business and how to make it successfully because he has his own successful business and therefore he's going to just teach you how to do it yourself. So maybe hit him, or also, I mean, what were you talking about? We were talking about the other day, talking about Skillshare or something like that.
Yeah, so basically Skillshare is a place where you can take somewhat like online classes. There's like no notes or homework, but it's more like a video of them showing you how to do stuff. So like it could be something as dumb as, or not dumb, I don't know, if you think watercoloring is fantastic, you do you, but watercoloring is a class that they have on Skillshare. So if you want to go on Skillshare and perfect watercoloring, they have classes on that. But they also have classes on a bunch of tech and hobby related skills, and you can go on there and start pursuing your dream. If your dream is painting, you take a Skillshare class. It's not too much a month, and you watch videos on how to perfect your skills, and 30 minutes, an hour of your day to help you pursue your dream. Doesn't sound bad to me.
Right. I just wanted to point out, if you guys think that we're sounding kind of ambiguous right now, or that we're talking about some vague stuff. You're like, hey, we're here to talk about freedom. We're here because we're here to show you how to be free. Like, where's the set of rules to get there? And the thing is with this episode is that we're meaning to sound ambiguous for a reason, because everyone's definition of freedom is going to be a little bit different. So I'd say that, I mean, we know that we already know what the definition of freedom is: doing what you want when you want. But everyone's way to do that is going to be different. I can't sit here and give you a set of rules for how to be a business owner if you have no interest in being a business owner. Maybe your only dream is to travel the world, or your only dream is to be a microbiologist. Well, I don't know anything about microbiology. I probably got a C- in biology class. You know what I mean? So I can't sit here and tell you how to do that. But basically what we're doing is we've done a lot of research, we have a lot of experience, and what we've done is we've come up with 3 rules that you can follow to ensure that whenever you do figure out what you want to do, or when an opportunity presents itself to allow you to achieve your dreams, that you're willing and able to take the moves necessary to get there. You know what I mean? So
a large part of it is so back to the beginning, basically, you can't be living in poverty. So you need just a little bit of money to be able to pursue your freedom and dreams.
Right. And I'll go ahead and tell them that these are our 3 rules to being ready to achieve success. And the first one is you need to finish high school. The second one is that you need to have a full-time job. And we'll get into that later because we're talking about jobs a lot. But the second one is at some point you need to have a full-time job. And then the third one is you need to wait until you're married to have kids. And by married, I don't mean to if you don't want to get married, that's your own thing. But the idea is that you need to not be raising a child on your own. You need to be sharing the responsibility with somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. So back to the finish high school one. So right now, there's a dropout rate of about 16%. So this is mainly targeted towards our younger audience. So 16% of people drop out of high school, and 30% of those dropouts, or by the time of age of 25, they are living in poverty. They are poor, and it's very hard at that point to find freedom. Whereas like people who graduate high school, there's only a 14% chance of living in poverty if you go for no college and just high school graduation. So just graduating high school doubles your chances of not living in poverty.
And I know there's someone out there who's thinking, well, you just said we don't need college. Why do we need high school? And you know what I would say to that is you need to have a baseline, one, credentials, but really the importance is you need to have the basic intelligence to be able to, when you're presented with the opportunity to do your own thing, you need to have the basic intelligence to make that happen. So like, let's say you want to be a writer, right? Well, you need to know how to read and write to be a writer. So you need to be able to, you need to have the basic intelligence, the basic skills to make your dream come true. You need to have the basic skills to like take action on whatever you want to do. You can't just be straight illiterate and then expect to
Well,
do something.
I feel like high school is also good for like socialization, and like it helps you socialize with others. Just going to high school and graduating high school, it helps you operate within your community. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would totally agree with you there. I'd say I almost like, because high school is mandatory, obviously, for in the United States, and I think that that's what their point is because I don't know if they really care that we all are learning the same thing. Because what does math really help you with? What does science really help you with? I think that the point is that we all have a baseline socialization so that when we go out into the real world, we all already know how to communicate with each other. We know how to network. We know how to act normally. As however you may think that sounds.
Well, all right. So we'll just hop into the second one you said, the maintain a full-time job. So like part-time jobs nowadays, they won't cut it. So 14% of part-time workers live in poverty. So if you're working part-time job and that's your source of income, 14% chance that you're going to be living in poverty. Whereas if you're a full-time employee, there's only a 2% chance of you living in poverty. So yeah, that may be 40 hours a week, but that's 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. You're saying you can't put in a couple of extra hours each day to pursue your dreams and freedoms?
Right. I mean, when Nick says you need to maintain a full-time job, this doesn't mean you're going to be giving up on your dreams. The point is that things are expensive, guys. Like, let's be honest. Housing is expensive. Food's expensive. Like, driving is expensive. Everything's expensive. So you're not going to be able to push beyond survival and into like creating something unless you have enough money to just survive. If let's say one of your goals in life is to own a boat, well, you're going to have to buy that boat. Or let's say your goal is to start a business, but you're going to have to pay employees and you're going to have to, build the infrastructure to have that business run smoothly. So you're going to have some money to do that. And I'll let Nick tell you about it, but I think that there's this stigma that when you're not at work, it's all of a sudden it's your off time, and that you're supposed to be just relaxing or having fun. What do you think about that?
Well, like exactly. So like if you wanted to be like an entrepreneur, we'll just use that example. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you're gonna have to come home from your secondary job, because if your goal is to be an entrepreneur, that needs to be your primary job. The other job is just to fund your primary job. So basically, if that's your goal, you need to set that standard where basically that's what's important to you. The other job is to fund your new job or your primary job.
Like how many people, let's be honest with ourselves, how many of us come home from work and then they'll either watch TV or they'll play video games or drink a couple beers or just be like, oh well, that was a
Well,
great
a
day
lot
at
of people
work. Now
play
I'm gonna
Fortnite
relax.
nowadays.
Yeah, whatever that is, I don't know. But I mean, no, I have a friend that plays it, and it sounds interesting. And I'm not saying not to play Fortnite, not to watch your favorite show because I have my favorite shows too. But if you want to be independent and you want to start your own business or you want to whatever, even if you just want to learn a new skill as a hobby, you're gonna have to do that after. You're gonna have to basically work after work. You're gonna have to invest time. It's all about investing in yourself. You're gonna have to invest time to learn that new skill or to uh, teach yourself the knowledge necessary to do
To reach your
start your own business or whatever.
to reach
Yeah,
your
my
freedom,
bad.
to reach your dreams.
Something like that. Something like that.
So basically, so the last one Mason mentioned was about raising a child on your own. So a statistic I found was basically for single mothers, they're more likely to be poor than married couples. Obviously, because that's one income compared to two incomes. But the poverty rate for single mother families in 2016 was 35.6%. That's nearly 5 times more than the rate of married couples, which was 6.6%. That's a pretty big margin there. So that's why we're talking about how it's important to practically not necessarily get married before you have a child, but to make sure you have someone to do it with. Because
There's got to be a shared responsibility.
exactly, so like raising a kid is important. Once you have a kid, the kid is probably should be the most important thing in your life.
No, it definitely is. And then we'll go back to, I don't know if it was the last episode, but you need to be able to take massive risk if you want to achieve your dreams, right? And but if you have a kid, you can't justify taking massive risk if it means that maybe you can't feed your kid or something, you know what I mean? So that's basically the point here, is that you want to set yourself up with the ability to take that massive risk. So if you want to, let's say you just really want to be a scuba diving instructor. I know I scuba dive a little bit, and I feel like those people that are working that job, it's not really a job. They're loving what they do. So if you want to be a scuba diving instructor, where do you want to be? You probably want to be in the Great Barrier Reef. So how many people can say that they have the mobility to pick up, move to Australia, and become a scuba diving instructor there? Like, there's not a lot of people that have that mobility. But if you have a kid, you definitely can't just take your kid there, invest all this money into starting a new life in Australia when you're just worried about taking care of your kid. So that's what I'm saying. There's nothing against kids, nothing against, like, kids are awesome, and if you have a kid, perfectly fine, but all I'm saying is that it's probably going to be a little bit more difficult to take that massive risk when you're just spending most of your time focusing on how to be a decent parent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, the reason why we told you those three things is basically finishing high school, maintaining a full-time job, and not having a kid before you're married or you have a partner who's in there for the shared responsibility. The studies show that there is only a 2% chance of living in poverty if you do those three things. Only 2%.
Right.
So if you do those two things, it makes it that much easier to pursue your freedom and your dreams.
And the point, yeah, that's the point of this whole thing, is that either maybe you know what you want to do, or second, maybe you have no idea what you want to do. But these are three things that you can focus on to where whenever you do realize what your goal is in life.
Well, like basically, the goal we were trying to put here is that everyone has the ability to pursue what they want to and work towards their freedom without having to worry. So basically, if you sorry for finishing your sentence, but if you have that friend who seems stuck, like, yeah, they may be comfortable with their life, but you don't think they're satisfied, try to pursue them. Try to inspire them to pursue their dreams.
Like for instance, how many of you have ever been hanging out with a buddy and you say, if you could do anything in the world right now, what would you do? Or if you could be anywhere in the world now, where would you be? And you have this, everyone obviously is going to have this huge idea that isn't the reality. But basically, my goal is for all of you to be able to sit there and say, I'm exactly what I'm doing now. Like, I am doing exactly what I've always dreamed of doing right now. You know what I mean? And I think it's very achievable. There's no reason why everyone can't be doing exactly what they want when they want. You just have to set yourself up for success. You just have to put in the effort now to be where you want.
Well, like, at the end of the day, we just want to see everyone else be satisfied with the life they're living. So, like, there's a lot of people out there who live comfortably, but they're not satisfied with their life or fulfilled. And, like, they kind of seem like powerless to change their life because they've gone so far into their comfort. So, like, our goal is basically for everyone to just reach their freedom or dreams, or at least attempt to pursue it, so they don't have that thought, like, what if?
Right. And I think that we can all have our own, ideas of where we want our life to be. That's why we're not giving you a strict set of rules of how to be successful, because everyone's idea of success is different. All we're saying is that if you do these 3 things, whenever you do figure out what it is that you want to do, you'll be
in the position to do it.
Right. Now, guys, that's pretty much it for today. We're going to continue to talk about freedom, and we're going to be posting some little tidbits of knowledge. So right now we have this show, and go ahead and subscribe to it and share it with your friends, because I think it's going to be very helpful to everyone. And one thing is, if you guys could go ahead and give us a review and rate us, I think that will help a lot. And just, as I said, we're going to start coming out with little smaller videos that we'll be posting that'll just add to update you throughout the week before the actual show comes out.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're going to call those tidbits yet, but basically, like you said, leave a review, rate us. If another way to let us know how we're doing, or any input you guys want to give us, go to freedomempowered.us. You can listen to the podcast there, or show a friend the podcast there. If they don't have iTunes, they can listen there. And we have a contact page, and leave us a message there if you don't want to go on iTunes and leave a review there. But other than that, just want to thank you guys for listening. Talk to you guys next time.